Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer, and today we are going to be taking a first look at Distant Worlds 2, a brand new Space 4X strategy game that comes out today, about 2 hours I think after this video will post, and it is developed by Codeforce. It is published by Slytherin and Matrix Games, and this is a pretty detailed and in-depth Space 4X game. If I was going to give the elevator pitch on this game, I would say it is graphically something akin to Stellaris, but with the depth of something like Aurora, and yet still having Aurora 4X, that is, and yet still having the mechanics and tools in the game to automate and streamline things so that it is pretty easy to pick up and play, I think. Let's go ahead and jump in. Before we do that, real quick, the game is available. I believe it unlocks around 10 o'clock today. It's on Steam, or it will be, and then it's also available through Slytherin and Matrix website. If you do want to help the channel out, there's a link in the description to my store on Nexus GG, which is an authorized reseller of games, so they work with publishers directly. It is 100% legitimate, and if you buy it through the link, or any game through the link, you actually will help the channel out, so I appreciate it, and you get a Steam key, so everybody wins there. If you do buy it in the first 2 hours after this video posts, while it's still a pre-order, I believe it's still 10% off, but you know, do as you will. I generally don't push games. If it looks interesting to you, feel free to check it out, and if not, hey, thanks for watching the video in any event. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start a new game. And in this video, we're going to be choosing a couple of different things. So the game gives you quite a few different options in terms of selecting the world that you want to exist in. So for example, there are, 10 different galaxy types. You've got a classic galaxy, which has dense star clusters in the center around presumably the black hole at the middle of the galaxy. And then you kind of have an outer rim of congested stars, and then you've got some stars sort of in between the rings, but it's less dense there. You've got sort of spiral galaxy, which is a cluster dense in the center, and then sort of rings that sort of exist all the way around. You've got an elliptical galaxy. You've got rings with no center. You've got rings with a dense center, so dense outside, really dense inside, and then nothing in the middle. Dual rings, where you've got multiple rings and nothing in the center, or dual rings with a dense center. And even clusters, so just like different clumps of heavy concentrations, but with like density being really light in between. You've got varied clusters, and then you've got irregular, which is, I just guess, random. We're gonna go with the classic galaxy style. That feels the most Star Wars-esque, and I guess I'm kind of a Star Wars fan. Now you have a wide variety of galaxy stars. So each star kind of represents a system. If you think about the solar system that we exist in, we have one main sequence star, and then we have like 8 planets, I guess, depending on if you count Pluto or not. So each star will have a varied number of planets involved in that system. So it's not like it's 2,000 planets to exist around, but it is 2,000 different, effectively, systems that exist. So we're going to go with 2,000. Which is the max. I think I've got the system that can support it, but I guess we'll stress test the game in this series. We also have a couple of different options for nebula density, the amount of nebula clouds in the galaxy. Lower density means navigation is easier, whereas higher nebula density makes finding paths through nebulas more challenging and provides more geography in the galaxy. So I think more nebulas means more complexity. I think that's a good thing. We'll also go with a 10 by 10 in terms of sectors for the galaxy size. You've got multiple options. You can't go 4 by 4 with 2,000 stars, but you can go 6 by 6, 8 by 8, or 10 by 10. Larger star sizes also have higher amounts of star systems so that ships can pass between nebulas. So physical dimensions of the galaxy. It's going to be a little bit more spread out at 10 by 10, but we've got the max number of stars, so that should be good. If we jump in here, we can also set settings for the galaxy. So you have multiple different options. Like, do you want to start in a really mature galaxy where there are multiple empires that are well established, that have more advanced technology, that have huge populations? You know, large portions of the galaxy are already explored. You know, if you start as a new kingdom, you may be running into really established empires that are hard to unseat. If you start as a mature galaxy yourself or empire yourself, then, maybe you start as a great power. I'm going to go with pre-warp, which basically means there's going to be like 20 or 30 different galaxies or empires that exist, but they haven't really figured out how to spread. And so everyone's going to be starting at that initial phase of space exploration. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and take a look at the tech level. There's multiple options, 7 different levels of tech. Pre-warp basically means you don't have faster than light speed travel, and so you're stuck to very slow transport. It's going to limit you within your current system. Level 0 will give you faster than light speed, but you won't actually be able to get out of your system still. You're still kind of stuck in your current system. So like it's very basic warp speed where, you could go from Earth to Pluto really quickly, but Pluto's still 60 plus light years away from Alpha Centauri. So it's going to take you a really long time to get there. And so you can't really do that yet. I believe interstellar travel opens up at level 1, but we're going to go with pre-warp because I like the idea of starting from the beginning. Galaxy aggression. How aggressive are the different, empires and civilizations around us? We'll go with restless. It's right in the middle. I don't want chaos. I don't want everyone to be, going to war with everyone all the time, but I also don't want, patsy AI never to challenge us. So we'll go with restless galaxies. We're going to go with normal difficulty because this is a game that I've played Distant Worlds Universe, which is the predecessor for this game, but I am not a 4X space strategy savant, and so this will be a little bit easier without being too hard, I think. Research speed will set to slow. I don't want to take it forever, but I also don't want it to be fast. I'm going to go ahead and set research visibility to all projects are visible and fixed research paths. All projects being visible is going to be useful so I can show the game off to you all and show you all the different research that exists. And fixed paths, I think, makes sense. Like if you research warp drives, then you're going to go for more advanced warp drives. That just seems logical. It does lead to less variability in the game, but I'm okay with that for a first playthrough. We can always play again. And then I'm also going to allow tech trading. So you can turn that on or off. If you turn it off, then the only way to actually unlock new tech is if you either research it yourself or you get it through espionage. That being said, I feel like if I run into another great power or another empire in space, we might have tech they want, they might have tech we want, and it feels realistic that diplomatically different space powers might trade technology in their own self-interest. So we move forward to threats. Pirates, we'll set those to normal. We'll set them to normal strength. Pirates exist. We'll set them nearby because if we're in pre-warp technology, presumably the pirates are going to be near us. I can't imagine pirates would have warp tech if our civilization doesn't. And then we'll set to respawn because there is an ability to say when you wipe out a pirate group, then the pirates die. But if we know anything about humanity, you can wipe out a criminal organization. That doesn't mean a new one won't spring up. And so I think it makes sense to have them respawn. Additionally, there are things called space creatures. I don't know if that's like space whales, space monsters, space something. It was just defaulted to many, so we'll keep that there. But this is just like the frequency of them. Some of them are dangerous. Some can pose threats to your ships and bases. They may also provide resources that you can use. Okay, now we're moving on to the colonization screen. Colony prevalence will set to normal. Independent colonies will set to normal. I'm assuming independent colonies are like in Civilization when you have, like independent kingdoms that are like minor kingdoms that you run into. Maybe it's a group of people that colonize a planet, but they haven't, spread out or colonized throughout space. Influence range 100%, range limit 200 million or 200 M. I don't know, those were defaults. Our race, so you get to choose between 7 different races in Distant Worlds 2. I'm going to stick to human, but there's multiple different ones in here. I think the Beskar are the most aggressive. You can see they're very aggressive. Their caution is reckless. They're very unreliable, so you probably don't want to ally with them because they're probably going to stab you in the back. They reproduce like crazy. They don't migrate a ton, and they hate assimilating with, people who have conquered them. They appear to have 7 or 6 eyes. They're green. They're reptilian. They are clearly intended to be the bad guys, and they look villainous. They like to live on sulfur volcanic countries, carbonics and volcanic. You can see they don't like continental, marshy swamps, oceans, ice. So they don't really like the planets that we're going to live on as humans. but they like, you know, inhospitable climates. You can also see here that they've got bonuses on weapons. They don't get tired of war because they're super aggressive. They're really good at mining, but they're bad at diplomacy. And you can see here that everybody hates them. Feelings toward other races: humans -90, Actarian -100, Tekin -70. You know, the list goes on. Everybody hates them. One thing I will call out: there are 7 playable civilizations or 7 playable races in this game, but you can see there are a lot more than 7 races. It's, you know, quite a few different races. What is that, like 20-ish races in here? So I think as the game becomes more mature, they may unlock more of these to be playable. It would also be really cool if you could create your own race, or at least modify like the traits of your race if you wanted. I think that would be awesome. But you know, at launch, the game has 7 playable races with a lot more out there. You can see they have different government types: hive mind, which is not something accessible to humans; military dictatorship, which I'm not sure if that's available to humans or not; allowed governments, like other governments they can choose. Apparently they can choose democracy. They've got infantry types as well. Executioner hive. Wow. There's a whole bunch of other races in here. You've got the cat people, which apparently are pretty, you know, pretty reasonable. They're neutral, they're careful, they're moderate, you know, they're adaptable. You've got the I guess I call them like frog people. They kind of look like frogs. They're aggressive, unreliable, whatnot. You've got the Mortillians, which are like slightly less aggressive and evil than the Bashkara. They're very dependable, but they're also very aggressive. So they're very warlike. But if you sign an alliance with them, they're probably going to trust you. So that's good. You've got the Tekin, which are kind of like the mouse people. They got like the little mouse nose here with the 3 eyes, and then like mouse ears, or maybe rabbits. I guess they look more like mice to me. They reproduce well. They're very adventurous. They're very compliant if you conquer them. Moderately dependable. And then you got the Xenox, which are, I guess, kind of like cat people also. Again, they kind of got like a cat-like face, or maybe like I'm not really even sure. I don't know what I'm comparing. They're very cautious and careful, neutral, and they just kind of are like the run-of-the-mill, middle of the road folks. We're going to be the humans. We're aggressive, but not super aggressive. We're aggressive, yet we're careful, which is interesting. Our dependability is neutral, but hey, it's going to be me in charge, so that dependability is up to me. Moderate reproduction rate, moderate or adventurous migration. You know, humans like to explore. And then adaptable, but not crazy assimilation. You can see our relations with everybody else is negative. Does anybody have good relations with anybody? Is everybody negative with all foreign races? It looks like it. Like, it doesn't look like anybody likes anybody, at least of the playable races. Everybody's got negative traits, so everybody's a little bit xenophobic, it appears. Humans, they're government types. They prefer democracies and republics. They also allow you to do feudalism, monarchy, and military dictatorship. So there's that. Let's jump ahead. So we're going to be the Interstellar Butchers Union. That's kind of a joke on my Twitch streams. I did stream this the other night, but this is not a live stream. This is recorded just for you folks on YouTube. But I did do a live stream the other day, and we called our empire the Interstellar Butchers Union. So we're going to go with that. We'll go with a red flag with like almost like spin wheel around it. I would love if I could just like choose import JPEG, because it would be cool to like have my own logo and a flag, but whatever. And then I think we're going to go with monarchy, because who doesn't love a good Kaiser or a good emperor? You know, I know it's not the preferred type for humans, so it does decrease colony happiness, also increases corruption, but it does give you some benefits. It reduces the effect of war weariness, gives you some espionage, troop recruitment, recovery, and maintenance saving benefits, gives you tourism income, because I guess everybody wants to come see the king or the queen, ship maintenance, and facility maintenance savings. But yeah, it's not the preferred version of our, you know, government for humans, but monarchy seems like it's, you know, it's reasonable. And who knows, with the way things are going in the world right now, it seems like we like strong leaders. So monarchies could be coming back. Starting situation for our government. We're going to set normal home system. I don't want it to be like, hey, you've got no resources in this system. So I don't want to go with harsh, because we don't have warp technology. So this game depends heavily on resources, and it influences what you can build. And if we don't have any resources in our home system, that's going to be a problem and a real bummer for years and years. So we're going to go with normal. I don't want it to be like super easy. I want a reason to expand and go to other systems, but I don't want it to be, you know, again, too difficult. We're going to go with random expansions starting, although I assume because the Galaxy's new and everybody's new, we probably will be limited to one system and we don't have warp tech yet. Pre-warp tech, as I said, and then random starting location within the galaxy. Other empires, we'll have 20 of them. I'll let the game decide who they're going to be, where they're going to be. We'll set the auto-generating system on. And then victory conditions. I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about victory conditions. Race victory conditions mean nothing to me. Economy victory condition means nothing to me. I guess I'll turn that off. Population, I'm going to turn that off. Territory, I guess if we take like 75% of the galaxy, maybe that's a victory. I don't think we'll get there. We'll probably die long before that. Starting year date, what does this do? Victory conditions only apply after 100 years. Well, all our victory conditions are turned off, so I guess we can go with territory and say you got to take 75% of the galaxy. Okay, because that's not going to happen. 75% of 2,000 stars, dear God. Time limits off. Great general event story on, or general stories are on. Race specific stories are on. Colony events are on. And let's go ahead and jump into the game. This game, by the way, I really like. I don't know if any of you have played Distant Worlds 1 or Distant Worlds Universe. It's a much older game. You know, obviously this is the sequel. That game doesn't look as good. The user interface isn't as sleek, but like it's an impressive game for what it was. This game, which is largely made, I believe, by one programmer, and then I know like Slytherin lended a lot of effort, I believe, around project management, around production. I presume around some help with some of the visuals, but like this game looks really good for a pretty small team that put this together. And so I'm really excited to share what the gameplay looks. I know we've been going for like 15 minutes already, but we'll jump in here in a second. It's going to take a minute or two for the game to generate the galaxy. I have noticed, like when you're doing other CPU intensive things, the galaxy generating can take a long time. If you've got like 2,000 stars, it can take a long time as well. But when I've played when I'm not streaming with a pretty beefy processor, it usually loads the galaxy in 2 or 3 minutes, even at a max size, the max number of stars. Okay, actually, like came on right as soon as I said that. So you can see the Interstellar Butchers Union, the IBU, is our current faction. Our government is a monarchy. We are the humans who are typically aggressive and careful. Humans have natural skills in all research and diplomacy and war readiness reduction, espionage, and trade income. Our leader is Kobe Nesoli, skilled in colony income. That'll be useful to make sure that we can quickly build up. Our home colony is Bori. I'm going to rename that. A colony planet in the Levassar Junction system. Nearby is the gas giant planet Levassar Junction 4. Also nearby is the rocky metallic moon Prior. Our faction has primitive technology. We're just beginning to take our first step into space. Explore, expand, and conquer. Okay, so we're on the outer rim here. The game does seem to like to spawn us in the outer rim. I'm going to zoom back out once we're in. I want to say this game, like, scrolling is pretty damn... It's like freaking butter. But you can see, here's the galaxy, right? Like we can't zoom in and see the different star systems right now because they're unexplored systems. So I can't go in and see like what's all in here. But you can see there are a lot of different systems. Each one of these little lights represents a star, which represents a system. Our current system where we exist is in the outer rim of this galaxy. You can right click to drag around to move around the galaxy or around the system. You can use your WASD keys and whatnot. You can also use the mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and out. And I think plus and there are other buttons that influence the ability to zoom in and out, but I'm not sure what. I don't really use them. In any event, let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look at the Levassar Junction system. So, looks like we're orbiting around this gas giant. It's a continental moon, so that's interesting. We're on a moon, not on a continental planet, but it's a continental moon. We have a population of 2 billion. Looks like the resources on our planet are Losorian syrup. I don't know what that is. It is sweet and thick sap of the Losorian tree. Large forests of Losorian trees are farmed on continental worlds. Losorian syrup has a rich golden color, and it is universally appreciated for its delicious flavor. So food, and then we also produce a lot of steel. Okay. 2 billion people here. Pretty happy. 29 happiness. Colonies mostly underdeveloped, which leads to some unhappiness. 2 billion people on the planet with a 3.1 population growth rate. Population is comprised of humans. There does appear to be a third resource on the planet that we don't know about. There's also an ancient human city ruins, which gives us colony development, shield, research, and scenery bonuses. We have one leader, Kobe Nisalto. We're currently building an exploration ship, a construction ship, a small freighter, 2 small freighters, and a mining ship. 3 location bonuses that we already talked about, 6 empire bonuses based on our government and whatnot. So you can see as we zoom in here, here's the planet that we exist on. There is a screen if you want to go ahead and take a look at the planet itself. Colony detail screen here. You can see the planetary facilities, which right now are just this ancient ruin. We do have a strike trooper brigade on the base as well. So if anyone tries to invade, we do have those troops that'll help defend it. We've got our leader. There are other characters, admirals, spies, generals, things like that that can be joining your side, but right now it's just our leader. You can see the development percentage is 21%. Max pop of the planet is just shy of 10 billion. Quality is 78% for our species. Size is 4513. You can see revenue, corruption losses, base revenue, gross tax revenue, support costs, and net tax revenue. And you can also see our construction and the current situation or progress on those ships. So let's actually zoom out here. So this is Distant Worlds 2. If we see here, pretty sleek UI, in my opinion. On the top left, you have a Interstellar Butchers Union sort of country map where it shows you total cash flow, which is sort of your day-to-day monthly revenues, bonus income, colony approval, which is currently +4, and then war weariness and population for your entire empire. You can see down here a balance sheet of the empire in more detail. We can also see funding levels, which shows where the money is going, what percentage of income is going to different things. So you can see we've got 10% of our income is going to sort of our reserves where we stockpile money. You can see of our expenses, 60% of our expenses are being allocated to ship maintenance, 40 to troop maintenance. Colony growth is a 50% investment, while research is also 50%. You can adjust these percentages and they will affect things like research and quality of troops and how much money you're able to stockpile, or you cannot. Right now it is set to automate. One of the things that I would say about Distant Worlds is it has an incredible ability to have tons of complexity and yet the ability to automate most of that away. The last Distant Worlds game, Distant Worlds Universe, there were people who were playing as like individual ships where everything was automated in the galaxy of thousands of systems and ships and leaders and all of these things, and they would just manually control one ship. So they could tell their own story if they wanted to do that. I've played it where you're just the sort of head honcho, and so you kind of have a little bit of a distant control over your kingdom, right? Like you're the emperor, so you're going to control diplomacy and things like that, and maybe building up the military. But this game has a vast civil economy, which we'll jump into in a little bit and see as we start to expand. You've got maintenance costs here. You've got government info around like perks and different things like that. You've got leadership info, which we'll fill out a little bit more later on. Right now, it's just our current leader of the kingdom. And then you've got these controls here. So the policy settings, advisors and automation. For example, right now our colonization is set to suggest. So our advisors will suggest doing things, but it's up to me to make the decision. I could get rid of those suggestions entirely and just manually control it. I could suggest and execute, so the AI will tell me what it's doing, or we can just set it to automate and the AI will automatically colonize. And that's kind of the same rule for all of these different things. You've got building colony facilities, tax rates, stock levels of different resources. I'm going to automate tax rates and stock levels as well as funding levels. Ship construction, I do want to have some say in, but this is really just for government ships. So there's a civil economy as well, which the game will build regardless of kind of what I tell them to do. Base construction will keep the same. Repair abandoned ships and bases. Research I'm going to keep manually because we'll take a look at that. I think research is definitely one of the strengths of this game. It's a really deep portion of this game. Crash research, ship-based design. I don't know if... So it says automate designs of new ships and bases for your empire or control this manually. But I don't know if this is just limited to like military ships, because civilian ships exist as well. I don't want to have to manage those. Character locations will automate. Intelligence missions will automate. Diplomacy gifts, treaties, and war will do the suggestion route as well as military attacks. Troop recruitment will automate. Fleet formations, postures, and management we will all set to manual because I want to control my space navy. That's just advisors and automation. You've got exploration, colonization, colony and tax rates, construction. I mean, this game is deep. You can, again, just look at this. Like, look at all of these different options. And all of these things can be set to your own personal preference. I find that the defaults are pretty simple. It has a pretty good idea of what you should be controlling and what not with the initial defaults. So you probably don't even really need to change all of this, but these are all different things that you can do and that you can play around with, and they control sort of how micro-y you want to make the game, or if you really want to just play as a leader without microing too much. And I think that's kind of the direction I'll go, but we'll take a look here. Like, it even gives you how much do you want to overmatch your enemy before the AI will send troops in. That being said, I don't want you guys to feel overwhelmed because I do think this is actually a fairly approachable game as well. That's the interstellar section, or the galaxy section. There's a diplomacy screen for diplomatic relations, pirate relations, independent colonies, ambassadors, spies, and prisoners. None of that matters because we're currently in our own little system and we haven't discovered anybody yet. So we'll have a nice little slow ramp up. There's a character section where you can take a look at characters, spies, and prisoners. But again, all we have right now is our current ruler, Kobe Nasalio. We also have a colony section, but we only have one colony. You can see some information about how many people there are, how happy they are, what they produce, you know, what their income is, all that stuff. But right now it's limited to one colony. You can also do new colonies, colony ships, planetary facilities, and artifacts. All that's empty right now, though. Exploration. So we have one exploration ship, the Quiet Dream. We're going to go ahead and click on her. And if we zoom in here, she's just out of orbit or on orbit of the planet, our home planet. I'm going to go ahead and have it set to fully automate. And I would like her to begin exploring the galaxy. So I'm assuming once I hit play and the game runs, she'll start doing her own thing. Or maybe she won't. What if I set to auto explore? Yep, there she goes. I think it was paused still. So you can see she's going to go explore, and despite the fact that we don't have any warp or interstellar capabilities, she can explore this entire system that we exist in. So she's going to go to all of these different planets or whatnot and explore them, and we'll see what exists around us. Right now, first thing she's going to go to explore is the neighboring gas giant right next to us, I think, and then probably the rocky metallic moon. I can imagine a rocky metallic moon's probably a great place to mine some key materials, but because we don't have warp technology, she goes real slow. So you can see the Quiet Dream is just kind of slowly cruising out this way, and you've got your timer up here. It's the year 2754. It's March 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and she's just barely inching along. You can use the tools up here to slow things down to half speed or quarter speed, or you can speed things up to ×4 speed. I do feel like the ×4 speed is a little bit slow in the pre-warp world. Look at how slow that thing is still moving. But in any event, those are your options in terms of speed. We'll slow things back down to base speed, and we'll talk about other things. Known ruins, we already talked about that on our planet. Abandoned ships and bases, special locations are all things. You can also take a look at resources here. So if you go to the resources tab, you can see all the different resources that exist in your empire here. So if we take a look, we can look at price, and you can see all the different resources that exist in space. From medbar to silicon to steel to polymer, argon. All of these resources matter. We don't have sources for almost any of them. We've got sources for steel, and we have sources for... I don't see. I thought I had. Didn't we have another thing on here? Lucerne syrup. Is that not on this resources tab? Oh, is that luxury? Oh wow, there's a whole lot of luxury resources. Construction resources. Look at all of this stuff. Fuel resources is just Caston, which I don't know how we're going into space if we don't have any fuel sources, because that matters too. Your ships will run out of fuel and things like that, or all resources. But fuel's important. And what this game has, unlike a game like Stellaris, where you kind of have a national pool of resources to pull from and just the 3 resources, if you don't have resources on a given planet and you try and build ships there, you can't do that. You have to have the resources in a given place. So resources are tracked at the planet or system level. And so your ability to build ships at Brewery, if you don't have any steel and the ships need steel, is minimized. You don't have access to doing that. Now, the good news is the game, unlike Stellaris as well, also has a robust civilian economy. And so once we research and find other resources outside the planet, you'll begin to see our planet will begin to construct freighters. It'll begin to construct mining ships, and those will be dispatched throughout the galaxy to collect resources. And those resources will then be ferried back to your country. And so there's this whole element of supply and demand, of mining resources, of building, shipping, and it's all automated. Like, I don't have to control any of it. If I really, really want to, I can, but I don't have to control any of the civilian economy. And that really, I think, gives some complexity to the battles when you get further along and you're having wars. Like, interdicting enemy trade routes is a valid thing because trade routes exist and they're important, and you can bring an enemy economy to an absolute halt if you cut off their key resources. Right now, most of this stuff is empty. We do have a mining ship that we're building, currently under construction, off of our home planet over here. It's at 0%. You can build various ships around your home planet. We're working on a construction ship which will allow us to build things like planetary mining facilities and other things like that. And for example, you can build a mining facility off one of these planets, and then you'll have freighters transport the mines back to, or the material back to your home planet. You can also build shipyards and things like that. I believe they're actually technically like spaceports, which act as shipyards as well, where a lot of that shipping and stuff is made. Apparently, there's also fuel tankers in this. There's a construction section here where we can actually see the construction yards. Currently, there's one at Bori. I don't know where it is, but there is a construction yard, I guess, maybe on the planet itself. We also have construction ships, and we have build orders where we can order different types of ships to be constructed. In addition to that, you can design your ships. So if we go into the designer here, we can see we have a few different designs already. Small spaceport, research station, small freighter, mining station, a mining ship, exploration ship, escort, and construction ship. If we go and we take a look at the escort, we can actually upgrade it if we want to go ahead and change the design. So we can see here there's a shield out front. There's also a weapon here. It's a long-range cannon. Got another long-range cannon on the top, some defensive turrets, and then some engines here. We can adjust these things. We can cycle in new components that we research and unlock, and we can adjust the design as we see fit. We can design it from the ground up. We can upgrade ships so that they can be upgraded. Or we can just, scrap ships and do things like that. You've got a whole bunch of information on the right, from crew capacity, build cost, maintenance, ship speeds. You've got information around their slow speed, cruise speed, sprint, and then hyperspace speeds, which we don't have hyperspace unlocked yet. You've got information around point defense, standard weapons. You've got information around defensive traits, information around targeting and countermeasures, bonuses, resources required to build. It is a complex ship builder that is also a pretty complex Space 4X game. But you can also automate all this. You can have the AI design all the ships for you and not have to actually, do anything with that. If we take a look at the research section, let's jump into research because right now we're not doing any of that. Huge research trees. This is why I wanted to show you everything. Look at all of this stuff, and we are just on weapons. This is just a weapons tab. So weapons here: early pulse weapon, early beam weapon, early ion weapon, early area weapons, and they all have chains that go down to detonation optimization, to area pattern optimization, to extreme energy surge, superior gravitic resonance, gravitic singularity creation, and they all have different perks and amounts of times to take to research and amount of money to unlock. This is a very impressive and large tech tree, and these are just, again, the weapons. But the weapons aren't the only thing. You've got troops, you've got to research different tech for your soldiers. You've got space fighters and assault pods options here, between doctrine, tactics, or other things like that. You've got reactors. Right now we have space reactors. Advanced nuclear fission reactors would probably be beneficial. That'll increase the power output, which, if you didn't look at the ship information, like the amount of power a ship generates, the amount of range a ship can have because of its fuel stores, all matter in terms of a ship's capabilities. You've got shield information, weapon information, more shield information, early energy deflectors, for example. Right now, we are about halfway done with constructing early warp field experiments. We're going to go ahead and spend the next 4.8 years finishing those warp field experiments so we can get the first primitive version of early warp drives, so we can jet around our current system a little bit more quickly. And you can see over here on the right, I clicked on it, and now it's a queued project. We've already unlocked everything that's lit up here: starship maneuvering, starship engines. You can see there's troops and fighters again down here. We've got construction parks down here. Somewhere, if you actually just want to go and like find stuff more quickly, you can go up to this top right item here where it shows you all the different categories. Colonization is probably the thing I want to research next. So we've got basic exploration, but we have no method of colonizing the following planets. So I'm going to go ahead and research basic colonization. It's going to cost us 500 credits and various resources that we have sort of stockpiled in order to do that. You can also implement crash programs if you want. So like if we wanted to spend 15 grand, we could implement a crash program, which I believe would cut the research time in half. But I don't see the need to do that right now. I also don't have the money to do it right now. But a huge complex tech tree for a complex game. So that's what's going on there. You've got military ability to see all your ships, organize them into fleets, see your troops and transport them. Looks like we do have a general now, General Gudian Icaros. He has no skills, no traits. His location is our home planet, and I have no troops for him to command or anything for him to do right now. We have defensive bases, monitoring stations, new monitoring stations, enemy targets, and dangerous locations, none of which have been unlocked yet. You can see you do get updates on the right side. So we discovered at Lavisar Junction 4, we've discovered hidden items. Okay, 11% industrial research. We've also discovered Aragon, which is used for weapons and shielding and reactor components. So it looks like that's going to be a good place to mine Aragon. It's going to be a good place to mine Krypton. And also a good place to mine Calcin. It's reactor fuel. Thank God. So now we have access to reactor fuel at Lavisar Junction 4. But now that we've gone ahead and we've researched this planet, you can see level 10 planet basically means it is completely researched. So we know what's on this planet. We know that its resources 69% Calcin, 79% Krypton, 54% Argon. So now what the game is telling us is our advisor is saying you should build a small spaceport at our current home country or home colony. So we'll do that. We will also go ahead and take a look at assigning a new mission to Lavisar Junction 4. Build an MS-1, which I believe is a mining facility. So I will take that advice because we have a shortage on fuel anyway, so we need fuel. And we'll also build this. Didn't we already do that? Or do I have to assign the mission to the construction ship? Yeah. So the construction ship, which is currently in orbit of our home planet, is now going to go travel over to this gas giant where it's going to go ahead and build a facility. I believe it's like a spaceport or a mining facility off of that planet, so that way we can mine. And what that facility will do is it'll mine the gas giants information, or not information, but resources. It'll build stockpiles off the planet, and then civilian freighters will travel to that, get that gas, and then send it back to our home planet where that will be used. And that'll all happen automatically without me having to do anything. We've also discovered brewery. So it's or carbonite, super strong component, typically used in components that require great strength. Okay, where's that? Oh, it's on our home planet. That's nice. I don't have to do anything. It'll just get mined there effectively without me doing anything. Our growth rate's down to 1.9%. Come on, people, have more babies. Anyway, so that's kind of the overview there. So we've got construction ship, under construction, and then under construction. Okay. So now at this point, it's just kind of like fast forward, let things start to happen. Again, I can choose. I don't have to have the advisor tell me what to build. I can go ahead and make a choice on what I want to build there, but you know, the game helps me out, and I'm kind of a novice at this game. I'm just just learning, so I think it's useful to have that advice. You can see we have eaten into our budget a bit. We do have a slightly positive cash flow. You can see our income is going up pretty steadily, and the AI is managing tax rates, so I'm fine with that. Although you do have to be careful, because sometimes the AI will make decisions on taxes that'll piss your people off. So right now the current tax rate is too high, so that's a -2 on happiness. But we are living in the Empire's capital, high quality environment, and developing planet. So overall, people are generally satisfied with my leadership. Let's go ahead and change the name of our planet. I don't know what to call it other than Earth, because hey, I'm human, and that's the only planet I've ever known. So we'll go ahead and change this to Earth, and then you can see here the planet name. Wrong planet, has changed Earth. We could change this one to Green Big Boy. Sometimes it's hard, like all of these different planets are going to have their own like similar names. So Prayer is a rocky metallic moon, but Lavisar Junction 4 isn't the only one out here. So we've got Lavisar Junction 3, Junction 1, Junction 2. So like there's all these different names. We've also discovered polymers. Okay. Anyway. So let's see what else is out there in our galaxy. There is a ice planet. There is what looks like, I'm assuming, an asteroid junction of some kind. Yeah, rocky asteroids. We have a deep ocean planet. I don't know that that would be colonizable for us. I don't think it is. If it's an ocean planet, there's presumably not enough land for humans, right? Just all looks like water. We also have a sulfuric volcanic planet. That could probably be useful for specific resources. And then we have a sandy desert planet. So I think we're going to have a good amount of resources to pull from like mining facilities. But I don't know that I see another planet for our people to colonize. Maybe the ocean planet? I'd have to take a look at that. Meanwhile, the mining construction facility has been completed off Lavisar Junction 4. You can see it here. And you can see the resources are ticking up here in the stocks, if you will, of that particular mining station. And if we go back to our home planet, we can see... Well, there's still a lot of information going back and forth between the ore hauler, which is currently under construction. There you go. So you can see one of these civilian ships, a light freighter, is on the way to that facility off of Lavisar Junction 4, the mining station. And that freighter is going to go pick up these resources and transport them back to our home island. Or not home island, but our home planet. Looks like we've got another freighter here, the Daring Journey, making that move as well. And then we also have an ore hauler, which is going in that direction as well. So you can see actually several ships have been built since we started this stream not that long ago by the AI. So you can see we went from, I think, 3 civilian ships all being constructed to now a total of 6. So you're going to see a lot of civilian traffic. And again, it matters. So if those ships get destroyed or other things like that, it definitely influences the game. And so you can see here things moving back and forth, and they're going to begin moving here, and you're going to see a steady stream moving between Earth and Lavisar Junction 4. Meanwhile, our research ship is on the way. The Quiet Dream is on the way to Prior, where it is going to research. And we really need to get those warp drives to research the rest of our galaxy effectively. Okay, we need better tech to research our home planet, but we discovered something new on our home planet as well. So guys, this is the very beginning. It's very basic at the moment. We're still getting our feet under us, but we have been going for closing in on an hour. So I think this is a good place to take a break. But again, you can see this is getting started in Distant Worlds 2 and my very first initial impressions. You can see we've got some freighters coming back here with what is this freighter carrying? 401 argon, 587 krypton. You can see the different shuttles going back and forth between the planet, which are presumably mining the planet. Huge stockpile of fuel here, Carlson, but then not as much krypton and argon. And you've got additional transports moving around here. So quite a few freighters, and our commercial empire is beginning. We will probably begin to consider constructing military ships in the not too distant future. For the moment, we're researching warp drives. We're about 93% of the way there, which means we are 105 days until the project is done. Base colonization, meanwhile, we're at 83%, or 8 years away. Maybe I was a little bit overly optimistic on colonization because I'm not sure I see any other planets that are warranted for colonizing. And we've got our second planet that the Quiet Dream is closing in on researching, and should be there here in a few moments. Looks like it's going to take about 2 minutes to research. That being said, guys, this is the very beginning of Distant Worlds 2, very beginning of a new game. And I think we're going to turn this into a series. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Please leave your thoughts below. We just got a new spy. But yeah, this is starting from nothing. And it's going to take a little while to get going, but our civilian economy is already showing you the robustness of the AI here, with those ships shuttling back and forth. We also discovered at Prior, the moon here, we got never mind. We finished early warp drives. I queued up early energy deflectors, but I don't see a reason to do that. So we have early warp drives that have been researched. I'm going to go ahead and add stable warp fields because I can't get out of our current system without researching this a little bit more fully. And I do want to like try and get a head start on the AI and expanding to other systems around us. So I'd like to do that sooner rather than later. So we're going to go ahead and spend, it was what, 500 credits and then some resources to go ahead and queue that up. But basic colonization is also going to be researched. So we'll go ahead and dismiss that. We uncovered Aclon, a strong heat-resistant blue metal. Cupra and Minbar. Some more researches on this metallic rocky moon from this research ship. So maybe we'll build a mining facility at Prior as well, and we'll have a nice little shuttle back and forth. Critical research failure. Our scientists have been pursuing the wrong path while researching basic of colonization. Set back the progress on the project. Aww. So down to 1%? 10 years? Jesus Christ, it's going to take for frickin' ever. Let's set the energy deflectors up. You can actually choose the order you want your research to occur to. So energy deflectors, let's actually maybe do stable warp fields. Until we uncover bad guys, military research feels less important. And I think that's a realistic human approach to it as well. But yeah, I think I've been trying to say goodbye for a little while now. We're just getting started of a brand new game of Distant Worlds 2. The game comes out today at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. And I think it's a really interesting looking space game. And this is just the start. Very much a first look of an absolute massive game. And I think we'll try and build some role playing around this series as well as we get started with our run as the International Butchers Union. Until next time, however, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thanks for taking a first look at Distant Worlds 2, a really special looking game, and we'll see how things develop. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.